To be honest, over a period of time, like in my personal opinion, it's this is not any aviation advice, but
Unless an adversity occurs, there is a need for mental toughness, because
what is just culture? There is a dichotomy between justice and empathy always, but the balance of it makes things. If you have gone through it, I hope not. I hope you don't. And then at that time, someone comes and annoys you. Would you be polite to that person, or you would start immediately yelling at that person? Alright, what's up? Welcome back to India's #1 pilot podcast. Thank you for watching, viewing and subscribing. Episode number 83 or 2?
3.
83.
2 was done
Okay.
when you were on a flight.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You didn't take me for episode 82.
So, yeah,
How was it?
it was good.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
we discussed the struggles of student pilot during training phase, and then
Okay.
we discussed in the 81st episode the Q&A. 80th was
All right.
struggles of
Yeah, those we did.
yeah.
Right? Okay. 82. 82 is published or not?
Not yet.
Okay.
By the time this is published, that will be published.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us. And our today's topic is something unique, and that is very close to us. Matter of the fact, we end up speaking with students time and again in different phases of their pilot careers. Obviously, the phases that are above us, those are not what we will be discussing about. The phases that we have been through and we have done. So we'll be talking about that. And recently something happened that kinda made us feel really bad for someone. And it's not just about like we wanted to be in a position to be able to help. And this episode topic is actually motivated from that discussion. Someone we know, a good student, passed all the DGCA exams, good results and everything. And that person was kicked out of one of the cadet pilot programs. And thinking about it, not for disciplinary things, but because of certain performance problems, was kicked out of the cadet pilot program, which is unfortunate. At the same time, and we won't be talking about specifics in here, and we won't be talking about the details of who. At the same time, we wanted to be able to be in a position to help in such situations. So that got us thinking that what would be the state of mind of any student when something like this happens. There have been instances in the past when the student was in the middle of flight training and then the student was declared as medically unfit. So these are adversities and are extreme unfortunate events. At the same time, there are certain small unfortunate events or small adversities. So how do we cope with those adversities, and what kind of state of mind and what kind of mental model do we maintain in such situations when something adverse happens, something against our goal happens? And pilot career is long. There are certain events that can change the track permanently. There are certain events that can change track temporarily. At the same time, how we respond to those events or how we respond to those challenges is something that matters. So our today's topic of discussion will be mental strength. Like, how do we strengthen our minds in order to get through this whole program, and be it the cadet pilot program or be it the conventional pathway program, and throughout the career, what state of mind do we maintain? Because pilot training does not end when you pass the class 1. It does not end when you pass the DGCA exams. It does not end when you get your CPL. It does not end when you get your type rating. It's a continuous process. And each of these processes have multiple challenges into it. And in order to overcome those challenges, what kind of state of mind do we maintain through our pilot career is what we are gonna discuss in this topic. We hope this interests you and helps you. Any phase of the pilot career that you are at, maybe it is DGCA exams, maybe it is even 12th right now in order to get into pilot training. Maybe it is flight training. Maybe it is one maneuver that maybe some student is not getting. Maybe it is something else. So how do we face these challenges, and how, especially, what mindset do we approach those challenges and adversities with is what we are going to discuss. Make sense?
Yes. So when we started, or when I started, I'm not sure about you, but when I started my pilot training, all I used to hear that you need to be physically fit, you need to be technical sound.
Yeah.
These are the prerequisites to become a pilot. But no one actually talked about the mental strength or the mental toughness a pilot requires when he is on duty, when he or she is on duty. So this is something which can be trained, but people are not aware about it. And unless an adversity occurs,
Right.
there is a need for mental toughness, because aviation is very dynamic. As we have heard about the hazardous attitude, which is invulnerability, it can't happen to me. So the antidote for that is it could happen to me.
It could
Okay.
happen to anyone.
Yes, and that
Yeah.
is the adversity which we are talking about, which we are not provided exposure to. That only happens when we actually start our flight training, or maybe even before that. So mental toughness is a trainable skill, I would say, and is a very important skill for the cockpit. Generally, when students start their training after 12th, they don't have enough experiences. That's what my assumption is. I mean, people do start working after their 10th standard as well, but if we compare, like, most of the students, they are just out of their 12th and then figuring out what career to choose for.
Right.
So the experience at that level is negligible, I would say. And then once they go out in the outer world, away from their parents, that's when the hardship starts to occur, and then mental toughness plays a very important role.
Absolutely. Because until 12th or 12th, it is different for someone who has lived in a hostel environment. The mental toughness is nurtured into students that live in hostel environment for sure. But someone who has lived home all this while, it's a cocoon, right? The adversities are slayed by parents for kids in most parts, usually. And that's why those adversities are not faced head on until that point. And once we get out of the world, and then we have to face those adversities and overcome those ourselves, that's when actually the realization kicks in that, okay, the world is not all hunky-dory. Okay, there are difficulties in this world, and then it's a learning curve from there, right? So that's what it is.
Yes. So basically, how I would suggest, or how I would define mental toughness as, there will be difficult situations throughout the career, throughout life. But how do you handle those difficult situations and get out of it defines your mental toughness.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, like you said, pilots aren't just required to be physically fit, but we are required to be mentally strong. So this is about essentially throughout the pilot career, throughout, starting from your first flight all the way until retirement, there are uncertainties that may come, right? And especially during the training phases, because everyone has different ways of teaching, right? Yeah, essentially there are prescribed ways of teaching by the flight school, by the authorities, and at the same time every human is not the same, right? And how one person chooses to speak with their student, that is up to that person, that instructor. But how does that student respond to it is the student's choice. And what does the student absorb from it is student's choice. So essentially what we have jotted down certain things for this episode, because it's very easy to say that be strong, shrug it off, okay, let it go. This is what we have been hearing all the time since childhood, that okay, shrug it off, don't worry about it, okay, these are the simple sentences that you're overthinking it, okay, things like that. At the same time, what's happening in mind is real. When an instructor shouts at someone, it is real. The person, the student feels bad. The instructor has 3,000 hours and the student is flying first flight of second flight of his or her pilot career. The instructor might say, say 5-10 hours. This is your 10th lesson. You still aren't getting this. And when this happens in the flight, when someone hasn't heard this, it's difficult. It's difficult. There are different situations, right? Different instructors. Like, to be honest, I'll speak about myself. During my training, I thank all my instructors, matter of the fact. But in initial phases, I had some instructor who didn't know how to speak English correctly. Okay. And he could not articulate the skill into words. And me and Rithik was on the podcast. We both had the same instructor. Yeah. Okay, and he was pain. Not Rithik. The instructor was a pain. So yes, having a good instructor also matters, but if the instructor is not good enough, you need to voice your opinions and speak with the school that this is the matter and get that looked into. I and my friend Rithik, our friend Rithik, we toughed it out and passed the stage anyway with the same instructor. We didn't voice our opinion, but then the learning becomes even more difficult in those phases. But at the same time, when we do something, I'm not saying that I was right all the time. No, I wasn't. I was learning. Okay, this is during first 10-15 hours of flying, like very early in the flying. And but I didn't even know what I was wrong about, and that is the instructor's job, right? So that's the point. At the same time, it's a balance of when do we tough it out and when do we voice our opinion and how do we respond to it. Later on, we both individually got different instructors, and then we realized, oh, instruction is this good. And I would thank Rudy Benders, my instrument instructor, amazing instructor. And that's how later on things became much easier. So initial stage of flight training, that was tough. That was absolutely tough, especially first 5-10 hours. Absolutely difficult. Now, each one of you may go through the same phases, or you might not. You might go through difficult times in different phases of your flight training. And then in those moments, how do we handle those moments? How do we handle feedback? Now, some people do handle, some instructors do choose to give a feedback in a constructive manner. Some people choose to give feedback in a critiquing manner. At the same time, the message is the same.
Yes.
So, what do we take away from it? Do we take away their critiquing tone, or do we take away the matter that they said, that your pitch at during landing should have been this, your airspeed during landing should have been this, your technique of flare out should have been this, or something or the other. Okay, now in those moments, how do we take that feedback is what matters. How it is said is about individual. It's out of your control. So that brings us to, now let's get to the points that we have jotted down for this. Because how do we take that feedback, and how does the instructor chooses to give that feedback? Is how does instructor choose to give that feedback is out of your control, is not in your control. But how do you take it is absolutely in your control. So let's get to it. So the student that I was talking about, who got terminated from the cadet pilot program, that student would do anything for a second chance. Very sincere student. And that reminded me. So I was watching the other day a series, and in that it's called Ted Lasso. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. Absolutely, I recommend you watch it as well. It's a great series for teamwork, team building, and all of those things. And those are the virtues that are important in aviation. So Ted Lasso says that, I don't know about you, but I hope that either all of us or none of us are judged for actions of our weakest moments, but rather by the strength that we show when and if we are given a second chance. Now, I may not be able to say it with the same emotion that it is said in that series, but I would recommend you to watch that series. So the second chance. Second chance in aviation, we may not get all the time. Aviation follows what is called as just culture. All airlines. Just culture meaning justice. Just culture is against recklessness. Just culture may give a second chance or may not give a second chance. Just culture is something that may consider empathy or may not consider empathy. A second chance is part of empathy, but it depends on the gravity of the mistake that was done, and empathy may or may not be leewayed given in that moment. So what is just culture? Just culture does not tolerate ignorance. Just culture does not tolerate recklessness. Just culture does not tolerate deliberate actions that are against safety. That is what just culture is. So as you are entering into this field, it's something that you might want to look into. What is just culture? There is a dichotomy between justice and empathy always, but the balance of it makes things safer, makes things more in line and more in sync. That's what it is. So let's get into the points of mental strength
Or mental toughness.
or mental toughness, whatever that you may choose to call it as.
Yeah, it is very important in terms of cockpit, and we never talk about it. The first thing in mental toughness we look at it, or the first stage we look at it, is handling situation when discomfort comes, or how long you can handle a discomforting situation with that same discipline.
Correct.
So how long does a person take
Yeah.
to react impulsively
Yeah.
or to take a decision without thinking?
Yeah.
So that is called as tolerance.
Right.
So some people have high tolerance, so
Yeah.
they keep doing the work they are doing even if it's discomforting them. Some people we can categorize into low tolerance.
Right.
So there are two parts. So initially when we start, let's say after 12th, we are in a low tolerance category.
Yeah.
With experiences and with proper training, we evolve ourselves into a high tolerance.
Right.
So
Right.
let's say whenever we are flying in aviation, so there'll be ATC pressure, there will be turbulence, there'll be some decisions which you have to take. Okay, so that requires high tolerance. So as a pilot, as an airline pilot, we require high tolerance. So the time, okay, let's say if I give you my example, so this was during initial days of my training. So we were doing the SLF and I was just barely around 60-70 hours. Okay, so we, like the captain and we were flying to Sharjah, and on the way back we were going to Amritsar. So now there was nothing in the weather as such, but there was a dust storm in Amritsar, and then we were holding to let the dust storm settle down, and after that things got really bad. The visibility dropped, the winds were crazy, and then we were about to hit our MDF. So we started the approach, but there was severe turbulence. Okay, the autopilot got disconnected, we were flying manually, and then we have to make the calculation for fuel as well, that we are 10 minutes to diversion and what point we have to make the decision to divert. So now this is a scenario. So now when do you take a decision, and how do you take a decision, and which state do you make a decision is
Which
very important.
mental
state.
yeah.
Yeah. So now let's say here we were both calm. Okay, we didn't take any stress of the situation. So this shows that there was high tolerance. But let's say if there's other way around. Okay, let's say we just panic and we without deciding anything or without checking Delhi's weather, we just diverted to Delhi, and maybe Delhi is also facing the same thing, then we will be stuck. So that's what the tolerance is, like how long you can follow things which you are supposed to with discipline.
Right. Yeah, that's a good aviation example. I'd simplify in terms of non-aviation example, because some of maybe you have not flown yet or you have flown yet. It's up to you. How do you? So aviation example, great example. Like say I wake up in the morning. I have had a good night's sleep. Now this is my neutral state of being. This is how I am in normal, like everything's hunky-dory. No problem. I'm smiling. Oh, new day. Amazing. Good morning. I'm walking and I stub my toe to the wardrobe. Ouch. Well, this sucks. And it hurts. Okay. Now, in that moment, my state of being changes. Now, do I start throwing things around? Or I'm like, it doesn't hurt anything. Nothing happened. And I walk it off. Right. So that is the pain tolerance. Now, this pain tolerance, this example was physical pain tolerance. Some people have lower physical pain tolerance. Some people have higher physical pain tolerance. The same applies to mental pain tolerance. To stub a toe is a physical pain. A very small physical pain, short term. That's why that example. Couple of years ago, my cat passed away. She's still in my DP. If you have my number, then if you open the WhatsApp, her name was Luna. And something like that is mental pain. And it's irrevocable. It cannot change. She cannot come back. last to last year, my grandfather passed away. I was close to him. I learned a lot from him. And when that was happening, I was in Delhi doing my training, ground training. So that is a mental pain. How do we overcome that pain? Now, when you hear the news, when I heard the news that my grandfather passed away, that first instance, when you hear that, what do we feel is the tolerance. Someone may feel nothing. Someone may feel everything. Someone may literally sit down where they're standing. Someone may just, all right, he was old, that's okay. That is tolerance. And that tolerance may vary to different instances. And like they say that everybody processes pain differently and it's respected. So there's nothing wrong with how someone feels. It's only human to feel anything. Now this is the tolerance part of it. Recently, I read a book called as Man's Search for Meaning. It's written by Dr. Viktor Frankl, and he was into the concentration camps. And the whole book is about how the things went in the concentration camps and what was the state of mind and what was the behavioral patterns of the people that were in the concentration camps during World War II. So there is a sentence from this. I've written it down so that I don't paraphrase it. It says that there's this gap, this moment between stimulus and reaction, where we have a choice we get to act how we want to behave. When you hear the news and we feel something and then we want to act about it, like cat passing away, immediately start crying or thinking like, what happened? How is there anything that I can do now? So that gap is where we get a choice that how do we behave. We'll come to this topic again, back again, that behavior is a choice. Your action is a choice. How do we feel may not be a choice. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's about tolerance. The first step is tolerance.
Yes, and if we continue the same example, like with your permission, then like let's say you mentioned about your cat passing away.
Yeah.
Okay, so now in that moment, okay, what action did you take? Let's say you were sad for a day, okay, or let's say you quit your job, or let's say you locked yourself in the room. So these are the actions which says about fortitude, which is the next one.
Right.
So how much does the behavior change once your tolerance is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
yeah, and that is the change of behavior from your normal being, like normal day-to-day thing. So let's say today you are in a proper state, okay?
Yeah.
So now when you hear the news, okay, how long do you go in a disturbed state? Or how long does it take for you to be in that state to recover and stuff?
Right.
Okay, so that is kind of fortitude in simple language.
Yeah. It's like if you have ever had the physical pain of having a broken bone. Okay. Or if any one of you has had alcohol at any time. Okay.
They won't have.
Yeah. Okay. What alcohol causes is loss of inhibition. That's why some people start to cry after over drinking. Some people start to yell after over drinking. I don't drink anymore. It's been 6 years. I haven't had alcohol or any intoxicating substance except for nicotine and caffeine. At the same time, alcohol causes loss of inhibition. That's why loss of inhibition causes some people start speaking a lot. Some people go quiet, and different phases, right? So when we undergo, then coming back to the example of having a broken bone, you would say what broken bone and alcohol has to do with one another? Like there's nothing, but there is something. That is loss of inhibition. When we are undergoing any kind of pain, our ability to separate our behavior from our impulse or stimulus reduces significantly. If I'm on a diet, like you said, when Luna passed, we every single day do so many things that we may want to or we may not want to do because we choose to do the responsible things. And when a news like this comes to us, our muscle of choosing to do the responsible things weakens to an extent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I'm already tolerating a pain of losing my lovely cat, whom I loved so much. And in that moment, I don't want to be putting my effort and my mental strength to be doing things that I don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a broken bone is a physical pain. If you have gone through it, I hope not. I hope you don't. And then at that time, someone comes and annoys you. Would you be polite to that person or you would start immediately yelling at that person? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in that specific moment, if you choose to still be polite, that's mental strength.
Yeah.
You don't want to be polite. And that's why that, again, relating back to that quote, which from the Ted Lasso, it's like, I hope that either all of us or none of us are judged by the actions of our weakest moments.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the point. And in that moment, when our ability to see, we have emotional brain and the logical brain, right? Our logical brain is tapping our wrist time and again,
Yeah.
telling you the future consequences of your actions, right? And see, like I've gained now 5-6 kgs than my I'd love to eat Frutella right now. Okay. But my logical brain has told me not to now. Because I've gained 5, now I need to reduce 10 no matter what. Right? In a comfortable mental zone, it's doable. I won't be eating Frutella now. I'd tap my wrist and I'd not do it. But in the moment when, as you asked, that when Luna passed, in that moment, it was more difficult to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And now there are different people process pain differently again. And it's such as that someone may choose to do terrible things, get into alcohol, drink too much, get into drink and drive and get into an accident. Now this has permanent consequences. And someone decides that, okay, this happened. I've had a good time with her. I might eat one pastry or one chocolate to satiate the mental difficulty that I was going through at the time. And yeah, get off it. That's all there is. Any experience that you have had on the similar lines and that you would like to put in your words?
So this was during my flight training days, and when we were in the US, I remember that we were going for the FAIR check,
Okay.
the written one.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I don't know, I wasn't able to clear it. Okay. So
That's because you didn't have the DGCA exams cleared before going there, right?
yes, that is there. This is, yeah, FAIR. So I took it lightly. It was my mistake. So, but at that point of, now I'm saying it like laughingly because, the level of toughness is way higher than it was back during our training days. So it felt bad. Okay, first of all. And it took me around a day or two to process that I wasn't able to clear. How can I not be able to clear that thing? Okay. I've studied well. Okay. Maybe there might be some misunderstanding in understanding the concept or some other thing which was wrong, which I had to figure out. Okay. But the day on the exam, like when I got the results and the next day was bit dull. Okay. I was doing everything normally only, but it was like in isolation. Like I am just talking to myself, okay, how can it happen? Like, why did you do it? Okay. And then again, you have to pay $150. That was the major this thing, okay, because it is expensive. Okay. So at that point of time, what I did, it was just one day. Okay. So I knew that I have made mistakes somewhere or the other. Now, if I sit with this for the whole week, there's nothing gonna change. Okay. So better I just then started studying again. And then next week I gave the exam and cleared it.
Yeah. Okay. But how did you process that pain and how did you, what thing did you do in order to overcome that pain? Did you sleep off or you went out partying? Or you did hard drugs, or
no, nothing like that.
or get into a bar fight. What did you do?
Nothing like that. I mean, I was just talking to myself. I didn't do any of those sort. Maybe like go to the gym, lift heavy, and then just remove all your stress, something like that. But nothing in the wrong set because I knew this was something which is very small, but it is very easy to recoverable, and there's no point wasting time. So I was at that stage, and then from next time I made sure that whenever there is an exam, I'll be 100% sure and never to take it lightly.
So we're done with tolerance first of all. Okay, so here's the thing. You are feeling all good. I was feeling all good. I hear a news that was not in line with my goals, and I feel terrible about it. Now how long does it take for me to throw me off my center? Okay, or we can call it as tolerance, as we call it short tempered or short fuse or a long fuse. So how much of an adverse news it takes someone to throw them off their center? That is the tolerance. After that, second is fortitude. Fortitude is how low we go in our behavior when we hear the adverse news. Okay. Now that is how low, like I said, that some people choose to do hard drugs and get into a bar fight or something, and some people just sit by themselves and talk themselves out of it. So that is how low we go. Now how low we go after that, next is how long does it take for us to recover from it, right?
Yes.
Third is that, right?
Yes.
How long does it take? Yeah. So now how long does it take for us to recover from it is the resilience part.
Yes. So resilience is basically like how long does it take for us to return to the baseline. To a state which to the state which we were earlier.
Right.
Okay, now some people, like you said, can take 1-2 days,
Yeah.
maybe 1 hour or something. Like you mentioned an example about the toe snubbing on the corner. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you can just walk off and shrug it off like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a pain. Or else you can just cry about it the whole day. Okay, why did this happen to me? Okay. So
Right.
choice is ours.
Right.
What we do, whether we just shrug it off in a minute
Yeah.
or we spend the whole day
Yeah.
thinking about it and why did it happen to us.
Right.
This is very small example. Example can be anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is important because this may not be applicable for you in the severity that it is like very bad news or something, but this would be applicable during training. This may be applicable in smallest of the instances, or this may be applicable in the largest of life events. Smallest of the event would be, say you are going for an interview, airline interview, and the interviewing panel says that, when did you shave last night? Or when did you shave last? Did you shave this morning? Why isn't your tie pulled up? Did you iron the shirt that you are wearing? Or when did you have your last haircut? Now these personal comments can throw someone off. Or did you not even study this? Now they are not doing this for the joy of it. They are doing this in order to check your state of mind and your mental strength. Right after that, there might come a cognitive question that is right followed by such comment. There might come this, or even during training phases. Is that how you flare? Is that how you're supposed to flare? Oh, I didn't know that is how you're supposed to flare. These are condescending statements, right? Now, some people may choose to see, with time, you know how to do things. But initially, in first 5, 10 hours, 15 hours, you don't.
You're learning.
You're learning. And in that moment, if the instructor says, oh, I didn't know you're supposed to flare like that. Right? So, now this is the smallest instance. Now, in this smallest instance, if your tolerance is high tolerance, okay, all right, I get it. I didn't probably do it right. High tolerance, okay. Low tolerance. Is that how he is supposed to speak with me? And you are flying. You are in the aircraft. If this statement comes in your mind while flying, it's really dangerous, right? So, high tolerance versus low tolerance. Okay. Next was now when he says that oh, I didn't know this is how you're supposed to be flaring. Next is, how bad do you feel because of that? Do you just take a breath and go on and get yourself back in the cockpit?
Return to the baseline.
Yeah, return to the baseline. Or you're like sweating and heart rate shoots up and starts to overthink that what does this instructor think about me, and should I change my instructor, and should I complain about this instructor? And if you are thinking that in the cockpit, this is really dangerous. In cockpit, the only job is to fly. Like, there is a statement written on one particular airline's doors. If you are flying one of those airlines as a passenger, just read that statement.
Yeah. It's in the circle.
Yeah, it's in the circle. We are not in the liberty to say that sentence. Okay, just read that sentence. So, that's what it is. Or we can say that sentence. No, yeah.
It's better when you travel, you just read it and let us know in the comments what it is.
Yeah. You can tell us in the... One of the airlines has it, and I'm sure you've flown that airline in India. So Yeah, just read that sentence. It's in the circle on the cockpit door. Okay. So cockpit is a place where it's sterile of emotions. Sterile cockpit has many meanings. Sterile of emotions is one of those. Nothing happens in a cockpit out of a feeling. Everything happens in deliberation.
Yeah.
Nothing happens by mistake. Everything has to happen on purpose. That's the ideal state of being in cockpit. I'm not saying that it's 100% attainable, but that is the ideal state that each pilot aspires to get to. Does that make sense? So this may be applicable for you in the smallest of the events, like I said, in the moment of interview when the interviewer says something, or during training when the instructor says something, or even in the larger scales. And I hope you don't have to go through the difficulties or the adversities in your pilot career. But the fact is everybody does. Right? So if everybody does, it's better to be prepared that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it won't come in a day. It will take repeated efforts from your end. Or let's say if I want to improve on my mental toughness, I'll take steps according to that. Now you already know how the mental toughness is divided into 4 parts. The fourth part, as you were speaking about,
Resilience, like how soon you get
That's
back to
third.
the yeah.
So that is the third part, the resilience. How soon do we get to the baseline after acting out?
Yeah.
Okay. So once you are back to the baseline, now there are 2 outcomes. Okay. Whatever you have gone through it in the first 3 parts. Okay. So when you come to the baseline, that will be a new baseline. So it will be either above the old baseline or below it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you either improve from what you were before, or you degrade yourself from what you were before.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we go for a flight, our aim is to always improve. So the instructor might give us feedback in a constructive way or in a critiquing way. But our goal in the briefing room should be to take it in a constructive way and work on our shortcomings. If we do that, we go above our baseline, and that is what mental toughness is about.
Yeah. To come on the other side as a stronger person.
Yeah.
To come in on the other side as a better pilot. To come on the other side as a more skilled pilot. If that is the decision that you make to yourself and you get through all of these phases, then you have done it. Then your mental strength is working for you. If someone gets out of this worse off, then that is what we call as trauma.
Yeah.
Right? That is what we call as trauma. Now, a traumatic event that goes through these phases, and when you come on the other side, there are traumas that make you a better person. So Friedrich Nietzsche has this quote that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's from Friedrich Nietzsche. At the same time, if you have that belief and if you act accordingly, then for sure, when you come on the other side and on any event, give that event 5 years. And even while that event is happening, if you ask yourself that, would this matter in next 5 years? If the answer is yes, sure. Okay. You have all the reason to feel bad about it. But then what? You have the permission to feel bad. But what? To make yourself better is your responsibility. Right? To make myself better is my responsibility.
Definitely.
Nobody's coming to save me from that. So As you go through your aviation journey, if you are facing any difficulties, just put those through these 4-5 pointers. That first ask, would this matter in next 5 years? I'm gonna do the things that are most suitable for my pilot career. And what is my action that I can take in this difficult time that would make me come on the other side as a stronger person, or as a better pilot, or as a better human? If we do, then that makes sense.
Yeah, and mental toughness is not about being emotionless
Yeah.
or being fearless
Yeah.
or suppressing stress, but it's the ability to stay effective under pressure. And just like any other skill, mental toughness can also be trained. Just like we train for the SOPs for the CRM, we can also train mental toughness. But as Nilay said, it's in our hand, or it's our responsibility to improve. So how much weightage do we give to this skill? And what steps do we take to improve our mental toughness?
Yeah. So coming back to that Viktor Frankl writing that says there's this gap, this moment between stimulus and reaction, where we have a choice we get to act how we want to behave. Right? So how we feel, which is a stimulus, and how we respond is the action. Right? So we always have a choice over what action we take, how we behave. We may not get a choice over how we feel. But again, we are judged by our actions and not our feelings. Somebody acts, okay, someone's driving, someone cuts the line and scratches the bumper. Okay, a fender bender. Now this guy gets out of the car and de deta hai do. Okay, gets into the road rage and starts a fight. There's hundreds of vehicles lining up behind because he stopped in the middle of the road to hit the other guy. Now this guy has two problems. One is a police case, and second is the bent fender. He had only one problem to begin with. His fender was bent. But now he has two problems. So he acted on how he felt. That got him into more trouble. If he would not have acted, if he would have just taken his number and claimed the insurance, he only had one problem to deal with. Now this guy has to go to the court because he hit someone, and probably there will be a case filed against him. Right? So in that gap, we get a choice to choose our behavior. And as long as we choose that behavior right over a period of time, we evolve as a person and as a pilot.
And our mental toughness becomes stronger.
Yeah.
So it's basically mental toughness. So there's a line between how we feel our emotions and how do we act.
Yeah.
So that line is cut by mental toughness.
Yeah.
So let's say today I'm not feeling great. Okay. So that doesn't mean that if I'm walking on the road, I treat every person like shit.
Right.
Okay. My action, as you mentioned, should be as a normal human being. So if my day is going bad, I won't be treating everyone in that manner. Okay.
Yeah, you won't be treating others in that manner. Like,
Just a simple example. The example can be anything. But if you are planning to become an airline pilot, start training your mental toughness.
Yeah.
Okay. No one will tell you this, but this is what is needed. when you take command or when you are the PIC. This is the most important thing.
Yeah. Especially during training periods, because not every time there will be a considerate instructor,
Yeah.
right? There aren't, because there is a huge, massive experience gap during training periods, initial training period especially. There is a trainer who has thousands of hours, and there is a student who has 1 to 5 hours,
Yeah.
right? Now that experience, that gap in experience requires the instructor to come to that level of low experience and train. Now there are excellent instructors that do that very well, and there are people that don't have that approach as well. Okay, and we hope that you get best of the instructors all the time. Okay, but if not, and if you are in that cockpit, how do you approach those things, right? So that's about it. Now, giving some aviation related examples that are, so what we talk about, so aviation literature in FA, which is hazardous attitudes, which is very relatable to this. So we'll cover one by one and we'll call this a podcast. We hope that this has been helpful for you. So we'll talk about stimulus, gap, and response. Okay, like we mentioned, stimulus, anti-authority. Okay, the stimulus is, don't tell me. Who are you to tell me? Rules are for others. This is the stimulus. Say someone says something, okay, and the person is in rebellious mode, a rebellious mental state. The person would have stimulus that he wants to say or she wants to say, don't tell me what to do. Okay, who are you to tell me what to do? The gap is the thought, the rationale. Okay, this person is experienced. This person has seen more hours and flown more hours than I have. So whatever that person is saying must have some reason. Okay, or FAA or DGCA has these rules, and those rules are for a reason. This is the gap. This is the thinking. The action. Follow the rules. Fly safe. No matter the stimulus. The action is separated from the stimulus. Make sense?
Yeah.
Next.
The next one is impulsivity. So the stimulus is impulsivity. Do it quickly, act now. Basically, do things or take actions without thinking. The gap is
Be quick, don't hurry.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
Yeah.
The one from
That is this thing.
F1 movie, no?
Yeah.
Not F1. Okay, no.
It is like slow is fast and fast is
The
slow, something like that.
smooth. This
F1,
be
F1
quick,
only.
Be quick, don't hurry is okay. No, it is from that coach. There is this. Okay, I need to look this up. That triangle. You know that triangle of greatness. John Wooden's triangle of greatness.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does it say?
Yeah, be quick, don't hurry.
Be quick,
don't hurry. That is the triangle of greatness. Those virtues that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look up John Wooden triangle of greatness. You'll love it. It's amazing. It'll be helpful for your non-technical round of interview. Also, it is pretty cool. Just look it up.
Yeah. So coming back to impulsivity. So the gap is rushed decision making, acting without thinking, and the antidote for that is not so fast, think first.
Yeah. I'm looking up that John Wooden's triangle. I might have it in favorite photos. Okay, you can Google
Yeah.
it. John Wooden triangle. Yeah, it is there. It is there. See this. It looks something like this. It has multiple virtues that are very useful.
Nice.
Yeah. It's not specific to aviation, but
In general.
like we discussed in the other episode, before being a good pilot, be a great person.
Yeah.
So that's relevant with that. Yeah. Where were we? Invulnerability.
Yeah.
Okay, invulnerability is bad things happen to others, not me. It won't happen to me. Is the thought. Is the thought. That's the stimulus. And that is the source of all complacency. Right? You know that Instagram reel is going viral. Don't check the weather. Go out and deal with it.
Yeah.
Have you checked have you
Yeah.
come across that? So that is the perfect example of invulnerability, that I'm invincible. Nothing can happen to me. Now the gap in this, that is the stimulus, okay? And that is the essentially this thought is the source of all complacency. When you do your solos, 100-hour time building, solo flying, nobody is there to check you whether you did checklists or not. Nobody is there to check you whether you did briefing or not. But our behavior when no one's watching is true ourselves. When you are flying solo and you do those checklists and you do those briefings, that is the true form of you yourself. And if we are not truthful to ourselves, then what are we? I'd like to consider myself as a good pilot and a good person. And I would be consistent with that behavior even when no one else is watching, and so would you, right? So that is anti-complacency. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So it won't happen to me. Bad things happen to other people is the form of complacency or invulnerability, or being a feeling of being invincible. That is the stimulus. The gap into it is bad things can happen to anyone at any time. It may be unfortunate, but it can happen, right? So what do? Just do the checklist,
Yeah.
right? Just do the
follow
briefings.
procedures, yeah.
Just follow the procedures. Just do what's right, okay? And it could happen to anyone, right? So that's the gap, and yeah, I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one is Macho. It says, I can do it. I'll show them.
yeah,
So stimulus to that is to challenge someone or to go beyond the limits which are prescribed for the aircraft.
Right.
To
Right.
show people
yeah,
ki I can do it. I
Yeah.
have skill.
that I'm better than
Yeah.
others.
But that is just proving ego or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
that is a big no. So when we are in the flight school, like everyone wants to complete their solo stage
Yeah.
quickly. So sometimes, let's say the winds are not favorable. Okay, it is beyond our max crosswind limit for the aircraft. So at that point of time, we just cancel the flight.
Right.
Okay,
It
and
can
don't
be
go
for the
it.
aircraft, or
Yeah.
it can be for the pilot
As
or
well.
yeah,
anything. So the gap in that is
during training for the pilot.
during training.
Yeah.
Like when you go for
In-
commercial, yeah.
In line flying, the aircraft limits matter. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the gap is like people try to take unnecessary risk to prove their skill, which is not required. If weather is not favorable, don't take any chances. Do what is safe for the aircraft. You can divert to the nearest airport, and after the weather improves, can come back.
Yeah.
So the antidote to Macho is taking chances as foolish. Do
Yeah.
what is required, buy the book. Be a safe pilot rather than a macho pilot.
Yeah. The next one comes as resignation. Resignation is quitting. When things get difficult, our brain only has a threshold to persist. We are built for. So, how do we identify this stimulus? Okay. So, whatever the statements that we are making now, like in invulnerability, it was like it won't happen to me, or bad things happen to other people and not me. These statements are the thoughts, and if someone finds themselves having that thought, that is the identification of getting into that hazardous attitude. So how do we identify that we are into a hazardous attitude? Is when we watch our thoughts, and if we catch ourselves thinking any of those statements, because even our thinking has a language, right? We think in one or the other language. And if we do end up thinking that particular phrase or something on those lines, you identify that hazardous behavior and you get rid of it, hold of it, and rid of it as soon as possible, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So those sentences are important for that reason. That's why FAA has put those, okay? And we are specifically using those sentences as it is used in a which document was that? The Green Book? No, not the Green Book. AIM. Okay, AIM.
FAR aim.
Yeah, FAR AIM. FAR is the first half
First
part,
half,
and
aim.
the AIM was the later half part. Yeah. Okay, we are using those sentences as it is because that is, people have put a lot of thought over it. Okay, this is not something that we made it up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is something that experts have put in a lot of thought, and we are just conveying it to you. Okay, unless you want to read the whole AI AIM,
It's available online.
it's available. You can download the app on App Store also for the same. You can read through the whole AIM. Okay, so where were we? We were done with Macho. Now resignation. Resignation is how do we identify that? What is the stimulus? How do we identify that stimulus that we might be intending to behave in a certain way? How do we identify that? Is what's the use? What can I do now? This is done. I'm done. Or any of sentences like these. Okay. You're not done as a pilot until you park the aircraft and get out of it. You're not done. No matter what. Okay. Look at the movie Sully. He could have resigned and checked out of his own and other people's lives. The engines for sure did resign, but he didn't. He didn't. Him and the first officer, they continued the flight. When their debriefing was going on, and the safety people mentioned that it was a crash into the Hudson, he immediately corrects them that it was a water landing and not a crash. The aircraft was as it is. Right? Yeah. He corrected them because he landed it. Right? He didn't crash it. He landed it. He landed it in Hudson, but he landed it. Right? Got all the passengers out, got the count, everything. All good. Right? So resignation, stimulus. When an overwhelming situation is faced by any pilot or air crew, the stimulus might pop up in a way that what's the use of doing this, right? it may be overwhelming for him to lose both the engines at such low altitude. But he did not resign. Okay, that is the stimulus. He did overcome that stimulus, and the antidote for it is, I'm not helpless. I can make a difference. I still have the controls. I still have the aircraft. I'll do everything in my capacity until the last moment. That is the antidote for resignation. To be honest, over a period of time, like in my personal opinion, it's this is not any aviation advice, but over a period of time, when you are in that seat, you just operate. You practice getting emotions out of it so much that you just logically operate and do the things that are required. Like when by Gainesville, the engine failure had occurred when I was flying, partial power loss had occurred. It didn't strike me until I landed that I could have died on that day. After landing, when I vacated the taxiway, I was like, I had an engine failure, right? And it wasn't a complete failure. It wasn't a dead stick, but it was loss of power. And to be honest, Florida, in Florida, it's very easy. It's not that difficult. Every 20 mile there is an airport.
Yeah.
So if you have an altitude, you are gonna land. And Cessna has gliding distance, amazing gliding distance. It is partially a glider. Okay, so Cessna goes a long way. If you have like 6,000, I had 6,000 feet, 6,000 feet. Yeah, it was like, to be honest, Gainesville was so close that I had to plan the descent accordingly that I would be on profile.
Yeah.
And we decided that we will talk about our flight in 2025.
2025? When did we decide?
You remember, if we were like, we won't talk about it for 5 years.
Yeah. 5
Now,
years
5
after
years,
release.
5 years are done.
After
We
release.
can't talk about it now. Should we?
Yeah.
Or
We'll talk after
We'll-
5 years of release.
we'll take it to the grave.
We won't take it to the grave. Someday we will.
All right. No, we did everything correctly. There was nothing but there. Okay. All right. That's enough. That's enough said. All right. Thank you for watching, viewing, and subscribing. I hope that, and we hope that you got some value from this, and we wish you all the strength, the mental strength, the physical strength, and everything that is required for pilot training. If you are becoming a pilot, take this in the spirit that it is intended in. And that said, if something wrong happens, just remind yourself, almost nothing in the world is end of the world. And if it is, it doesn't even matter. So there are a few tactical sentences that might give you strength in those moments, in those difficult moments, such as, would this matter in next 5 years? Are there any things that I could do right now in order to overcome this? How can I make the most out of it? How can I be a better person and a better pilot on the other side of it? If you keep these sentences in your head and approach those adversities as and when they occur, we are sure that you'll make the most out of it and succeed in your pilot career. And on that note, good luck. If you are doing your 12th right now, good luck for your exams. If you are an aspiring pilot, consider signing up for CNTAA online.in. This show is sponsored by CNTAA, so we have to mention about it, and we are very biased about it, and that is because of the results essentially. So if you are an aspiring pilot, sign up for CNTAAonline.in, CNTAAonline.in. If you are looking for offline training for your DGCA exams, you can contact Franklin on 99303 00426, 9930 300 426. Thank you for your time and attention, and we hope that you have gotten some value out of this episode. Once again, thank you.
Yes, and this podcast was not to invalidate your feelings, but this podcast was for you to mentally prepare yourself for what you are opting for. So, whatever you feel may not be your choice, but whatever action you take is definitely your choice. So, thank you for watching this podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.